One of the most anticipated dramas in the previous months was the divorce between Kyle Busch and JGR. With both sides deciding to go for a split after 2 championships and 15 years of commitment, JGR was slammed for their decision to let go one of their best drivers and replace it with a family member of the team's owner. But Denny Hamlin is having none of that, and although we thought he'd defend his old teammate, it seems like he understands the position he's currently in, and he has taken some cheap shots towards Busch. Kyle Busch and Joe Gibbs Racing decided to split after 15 years of being together, during which Busch won 2 championships for the team. While Busch is undoubtedly one of the most infamous and despised drivers on the grid, it goes without saying that he is also one of the most talented, as evidenced by his new team, Richard Childress Racing. He has done some tremendous things with his new team, something that has prompted the question, is JGR to blame for letting go of their 2-time Cup Series champion? According to Hamlin, Gibbs is actually an upgrade for Busch, but we'll get to that later in this video. First, let us tell you why JGR and Busch weren't able to work out a deal together. As you all know, sponsorships play a massive role in NASCAR, and that is basically why Busch was known as the Candyman. The 2015 and 2019 Cup Series champion had the financial support of Mars Incorporated, more precisely M&M, one of the world's most famous candy producers, but it seems like the team just wasn't willing to commit with them and Busch anymore. There is a side to this story that's a bit controversial, and this is exactly the side that turned out to be the reality for everyone involved in the story. Ty Gibbs' uprising in the Xfinity Series and the fact that JGR is owned by his grandfather. Sports is all about business, and that has been shown by the cruel way that Busch was treated by JGR when negotiations came to light. He has been told that the sponsorship with Mars Incorporated couldn't continue anymore due to the financial burden, which has been practically the main reason why the team decided to bring back Ty Gibbs, along with the sponsors that have been supporting one of the most infamous drivers in the Xfinity Series. Busch and JGR went into a long discussion about who was in the right and who was in the wrong. But eventually, when the team has the call over the sponsorship of the driver, nothing much can be done from the driver's side. That's why Busch decided to leave the team and join Richard Childress Racing. And even though the primary concern was about finding sponsors, that has been solved after just a couple of weeks with the new team. It seems like the new investors made a great deal with Busch, given the fact that he has already won a race in the Cup Series and is on a revenge mission to show JGR that the championships he's won with them are mostly thanks to his talent and not the car alone. Therefore, the fans went absolutely mad on Twitter after the first couple of races of the season, saying that JGR made the biggest mistake of their lives by replacing Busch with Ty Gibbs. Denny Hamlin, however, thinks otherwise, and when asked about the entire saga between Joe Gibbs Racing and Kyle Busch, and who made the right call, the 42-year-old Hamlin said that he would look no further than the retired Dale Jr.'s and Jeff Gordon's if we are JGR haters. He went on to add, "In the long haul, I think likely JGR has someone that they are going to be happy with for the next 10 to 15 years as well in Ty Gibbs. So we saw Hendrick Motorsports go through a reset. I think people were kind of down on them, probably 4 to 5 years ago. The veterans left, the Dale Jr.'s retired, Jeff Gordon's retired, the Jimmy Johnson's retired, and they brought in a young group. Furthermore, Hamlin went on to add that the young group the team brought in as a replacement didn't have an initial success, as they went through a year of struggles, but in the long term, it definitely paid off for them, as every driver became a great competitor in the sport and guys that win races. Obviously, whenever someone enters the sport, he needs a bit of time to adjust to the competition. But one of the biggest question marks that revolves around Gibbs is whether he is patient enough to see himself grow into a competitive driver, or if the infamous will drive the best out of him. However, in a situation like this, the question of whether JGR made the wrong move by bringing in Ty Gibbs will always be asked, especially after the poor start of the young driver. Hamlin has used an example to stop the comparisons between Busch and Gibbs, and that example is currently resting his leg after a gruesome injury sustained while snowboarding. When comparing Gibbs to Elliott, Hamlin said, "Ty Gibbs is so young, we have to really be patient with some of these young guys. Some of the best ones, Chase Elliott, and these guys didn't hit their strides till 3 to 4 years in and 25 years old. Gibbs is 20, right? So let's just all be patient and not compare him to who he's stepping in for." Hamlin is known as one of the greatest supporters of young talent. However, one couldn't help but wonder Is Hamlin doing all this to gain some extra credit with the owner of the team, JGR? His time is slowly but surely coming to an end, and while he'll likely continue as a co-manager of 23XI Racing, he is likely to meet the same destiny as Kyle Busch in terms of sponsorship, with FedEx yet to continue supporting the most successful Cup Series drivers, without a championship. Yet in all of this story, it's just so hard to defend JGR after the driver that left the team in a bittersweet manner went on to win a race with a team that's labeled as much more inferior compared to JGR. Hamlin has stepped in to defend the team yet again, revealing a dark side of Busch's past and highlighting everything the team has done for the former Candyman in the previous 15 seasons. People have to understand that Joe Gibbs wanted to sign Kyle Busch. They really tried, and they gave him a very, very good offer. But he did not want to take it and ended up taking probably a lot less because he ran out of options at RCR. On top of that, Hamlin thinks that Rick Hendrick didn't let go of Busch because he didn't think he was talented, but because there was some emotional baggage and he did some things that rubbed Mr. H wrong, so they decided to move on. The current JGR driver also thinks that Busch's fans should be grateful to JGR because they got Kyle the amount of wins he now has by providing him with great equipment. However, the relationship came to an end and we should leave it as it is. And the fact that Busch was able to secure sponsorships right away with a less superior team after everyone thought this would be a huge challenge for the two-time Cup Series champion goes on to show that he is still a very important factor in the sport, and he doesn't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. Kyle Busch fans, however, are very angry towards Denny Hamlin and the way he is protecting Ty Gibbs, with the initial impression being that JGR made the wrong move by replacing a two-time Cup Series champion with a young rookie. One fan wrote on Twitter, "My opinion, I like Denny Hamlin, but I am not going to take his word fully in account of what happened for the simple fact that he drives for the coach. He's not going to bash the coach. I feel like there was more to the story from both sides, but that's my opinion." This is something that Hamlin felt he desperately needed to reply to, as the 42-year-old wrote, "I will not state something that I know is untrue. I have enough facts to form an opinion and also speak on the topic. My job is to be unbiased and fair to all parties I speak about." Obviously, Hamlin won't turn against his team, one that is yet to continue the collaboration with him thanks to a feud that's ongoing between Hamlin and his main sponsor, FedEx. However, with statements like this, Hamlin is only making his future with the sport a bit more infamous, as he hasn't been one of the most popular and loved drivers on the grid throughout his long career. With that in mind, what do you think about Hamlin's statement on Busch and JGR? Do you think that the team has made the right move to replace the two-time Cup Series champion with a rookie who is the owner's grandson? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to stay in touch with more NASCAR-related content, make sure to click on the icon that will appear on your screen.